Peace, YouTube. What it do? It's your boy Justice Shabazz back with another video. And this one right here really resonated with me because I always knew in the back of my mind that it was a cover up with the Malcolm X murder. So this particular video, why is Malcolm X's family suing the FBI, the N.Y.P.D, and the CIA 50 years after his death? Because it marks the 58th year anniversary death of Malcolm X, right? So the family, let me read the article to you guys and come back with my 2 cents as usual. The family of civil rights leader Malcolm X marked the anniversary of his 1965 assassination on Tuesday by announcing plans to sue the FBI, New York Police Department, and the CIA for $100 million, claiming they concealed evidence related to his murder. For more than half a century, the circumstances surrounding the notorious assassination have been shrouded in mystery, fueling long-held conspiracy theories about possible government involvement. Two men who were convicted of murdering Malcolm X in 1966 were exonerated in 2021 after serving decades in prison. And the New York District Attorney admitted the FBI and the NYPD at the time withheld evidence. Why? For years, this is a quote from his daughter, Malcolm X's daughter. For years, our family has fought for the truth to come to light concerning his murder. Elizia Shabazz, a daughter of Malcolm X, said at a news conference at the site of her father's assassination, which is now a memorial. The civil rights leader was 39 when he was assassinated in 1965 at an auditorium in New York's Washington Heights neighborhood. Three gunmen shot at least 21 times as Malcolm X's 4 children and pregnant wife ducked for safety. At the news conference on Tuesday, civil rights lawyer Ben Crump said, "It's not just about the triggermen. It's about those who conspired with the triggermen to do this dastardly deed." He claims that government agencies had factual and exculpatory evidence that they concealed from the family of Malcolm X and the men wrongfully convicted of his assassination. Crump alleged that high-ranking U.S. officials conspired to kill the civil rights leader, repeatedly referencing J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director who died in 1972. J. Edgar Hoover took a lot of organizations down, like the Panthers, and a lot of other movements. The MOVE movement in Philadelphia, he feared the rise of a black messiah. That's what they feared to this day. To this day. So, what we know about his assassination, Malcolm X was a controversial figure for many Americans. End of the day, justice for Malcolm X. Like, you can't just go killing our leaders and thinking it's okay, thinking you're going to get away with it without reparations, without repercussions. Every action is a reaction, and everyone will be judged upon their actions and deeds, including America. You can run, but you can't hide, and you can't escape judgment. Okay? So, in more than half a century since his death, what actually happened that day has remained the subject of controversy and conspiracy theories. One man who was shot by a bodyguard and captured, Thomas Hagen, aka Talmadge Hayer, and Mujahid Abdul Halim, confessed to the killing and was in prison for 44 years. But since his 1966 trial, he has maintained that the other two Nation of Islam members convicted in the murder were innocent. Norman Butler, aka Muhammad Abdul Aziz, Thomas Johnson, aka Khalil Islam. Hayer did not name any other culprits at the time of the trial. There was no evidence linking Butler or Johnson to the crime. Butler had an alibi for the time of the murder. He was at home resting after injuring his leg, and the doctor who had treated him took the stand during the trial. Nonetheless, all three men were found guilty in 1966 and sentenced to life in prison. In 1977, my birthday year, Hayer named 4 men who were members of the Nation of Islam Newark chapter who he said had begun planning Malcolm X's murder in May 1964. He said that he was approached by 2 of the 4 men who told him that Malcolm X should be killed. They later met with the other 2 men and discussed how they would commit the assassination, he said. "I had a bit of love and admiration for Nation of Islam leader Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I just felt that like this is something that I have to stand up for," Hayer later said, according to Malcolm X, A Life in Reinvention, the 2011 biography of Malcolm X written by historian Manny Marable. But for decades, the new information about the other 4 alleged conspirators went nowhere. District Attorney's Office did not reopen the investigation until the 2020 Netflix documentary series, Who Killed Malcolm X? And efforts by the Innocence Project renewed public interest in the case and prompted Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. to review the convictions. It's just sad that you have to fight for what's yours. When it comes to justice, um, you have to just go hard, and you have to really stay diligent, because they try so hard to put stuff under the rug, to eradicate evidence and hide things. So, end of the day, what we know about theories, what we know about theories by allegations of CIA and FBI involvement. In addition to the unfair trial, some historians have argued that various agencies, including the FBI, N.Y.P.D, and the CIA, were actively involved in the assassination attempt. Experts have said that these agencies view Malcolm X as a dangerous black radical figure who needed to be brought down. Others have suggested that they did not need to plot to murder him since he was already a target. Nonetheless, Malcolm X was under near constant surveillance by federal and local authorities, as were many civil rights activists. The FBI first opened a file on Malcolm X in March 1953 and closely monitored him over the next decade using surveillance and informants. On June 6, 1964, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, which was the devil himself, sent a telegram which later became public to the FBI office in New York City that said, "Do something about Malcolm X." Both the NYPD and FBI failed to disclose to prosecutors that they had undercover officers on the scene. Historian Zahir Ali, the lead researcher for Mel Bell's biography, Malcolm X, A Life for Reinvention, wrote for Time in November 21, they decided instead to protect their assets. There seemed to be a desire to wrap up the investigation quickly. What paths of inquiry were avoided or cut short as a result? If these two men were unjustly convicted, then who else was unjustly allowed to roam free? Crump, the lawyer representing Malcolm X's family, said on Tuesday their lawsuit will allege the government agencies were involved in the conspiracy to assassinate Malcolm X. The New York District Attorney's Office has already acknowledged law enforcement's failings in the case, saying in 2021, FBI and NYPD did not honor their obligation to disclose exploratory evidence to prosecutors, and the accused included information that implicated other suspects, that identified witnesses who failed to identify defendant Islam, and that revealed witnesses to be FBI informants. The office also said at the time that FBI records suggest information was deliberately withheld. But for why? According to Crump, these comments from the New York District Attorney's Office, combined with the city's $26 million settlement, are what opened the door for Malcolm X's family to build a case against authorities. If the government compensated the two gentlemen that were wrongfully convicted for the assassination of Malcolm X with tens of millions of dollars, then what is it to be the compensation for the daughters who suffered the most from the assassination of Malcolm X? Because think about it. The daughters had to face PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. The daughter was 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? So you think 20 years of nightmares and dreams, and, you know what I'm saying, waking up to cold sweats because their father was assassinated right in front of them. That is traumatic. But my thing is, take these people down to court. You know what I'm saying? Prosecute these people. The NYPD was involved, the FBI, the CIA, and I believe the NOI was involved as well. Because in the interview, when they interviewed Farrakhan, he didn't show no compassion, and he said if he's a traitor, he has to be dealt with. So what are you trying to say? Malcolm X was a traitor and he's supposed to be killed? That's why I don't respect the NOI, because they never came out and publicly stated they had nothing to do with his death, and they never spoke out against the injustice of the government. Why didn't NOI sue the government of defamation? Think about that. If NOI had nothing to do with it, why did they not sue the government for defamation or anybody who claimed that they were behind it? That's because they were. I'm gonna leave it there, people. It just gets me so passionate thinking about this, how they just wipe out our leaders in front of our faces and dare us to go get justice. Protons and electrons always cause explosions. Have a beautiful weekend. I'm going to sit by and watch this closely, but this is a monumental lawsuit right here, and it's going to open doors to a lot. And I think other lawsuits probably will follow. You already know. Peace.